Game's mid-credits teaser lasts just a split second, but it's hiding a whole world of horror and murderous new games for the show's final season. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers, as if one giant killer robot with an Exorcist-style revolving head wasn't bad enough, Season 3's giving us 2 new bone-chilling dolls. The dolls are based on well-known characters from Korean primary school books used to teach children how to read and behave in the 70s and 80s. Squid Game's versions of these childhood characters are truly nightmarish, with echoes of The Shining meets Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, plus their neatly turned out look, blank expressions and glowing red eyes give me Village of the Damned vibes. But beyond upping the game's already disturbing feel, this new animatronic has another devastating purpose. Notice that he's located opposite his female counterpart, which means that Gi-hun's strategy of concealing short players behind taller ones will no longer work, as the two robots will now track every player's movement from both behind and in front, meaning there's literally nowhere to hide. I suspect the game is being replayed in addition to the contest's remaining 3 games in order to punish the players for the rebellion, especially 4, 5, 6, and kill off more people even more quickly. Let's look at the game's new setting. Now there's an actual light system like the ones at railroad crossings, which, along with the fact this clip is eerily quiet, perhaps means the doll no longer speaks. So instead of listening for her instructions, players will now have to keep their eyes on the lights, making the game that much trickier, as they'll have to run or walk and keep their head turned to watch the lights at the same time. Plus, what happens if you're colorblind? And maybe, in a cruel and devious twist to catch out even more people, perhaps players will be told at the start to only react to the lights, not to whatever the doll says, or they'll be eliminated. Then during the game, the doll says the opposite of whatever the lights indicate, so she shouts green light, for example, as the red light flashes, which would really fry players' brains and doubtless quickly lead to mass eliminations. The railroad lights also suggest there may be train tracks in the room, and I think this hints that there could be an even crueler twist still to come if the organisers force the players to deal with the ethical dilemma known as the trolley problem, which you might have seen in The Good Place. In this scenario, there could be a train or trolley that's going to mow down a group of players who get stuck on the tracks when the red light comes on, but another player has the opportunity to pull a lever to divert the train onto an alternate track where it'll kill only one player instead. The show could set up a horrifying situation for, say, player 7 to decide whether to save a group of friends by switching the track for a train that's about to kill them onto a track where it'll kill his mother instead. The ethics posed in the trolley problem would also tie back to player 1's words to Gi-hun. What you're saying is, sacrifice a few for the good of the rest. In fact, it could be a cruel and unusual punishment for Gi-hun's involvement in the uprising if the frontman forced him to operate a lever that would choose whether a single person or group of people died during this new red light green light game. Another interesting possibility is that the two dolls will be playing the parts of gatekeepers from a Korean nursery rhyme game. In that game, the gatekeepers form arches with their arms, which they drop to catch players walking underneath as the song finishes, or perhaps in this case when the red light comes on. Perhaps the players at a court would be stuck on train lines, and this would introduce us to the trolley problem. By the way, this Korean game is very similar to the English nursery rhyme Oranges and Lemons, or London Bridge is Falling Down, with the rhyme's last line being, "And here comes a chopper to chop off your head." Fun fact, this game was actually almost included in Season 1 but ended up being cut. Let's look at the game's new setting. Instead of daylight with a painted background of wheat fields and bright blue skies, there's now darkness with a painted sun setting over a body of water. Playing this game in near darkness would make it much more deadly. Remember, players enter the game arriving from the insanely brightly coloured Escher-style staircase and their artificially lit dorm room. So if they're immediately plunged into darkness, it would be incredibly disorienting and put them at an immediate disadvantage, especially if they're visually impaired. They might not be able to properly see where any obstacles in the room are, and they might struggle to move efficiently in a straight line towards the finish. In the dark, they'd inevitably trip over other players or even themselves as they slowly fumble forwards towards the end, leading to more and quicker eliminations, greatly increasing the VIP's entertainment as well as the jeopardy for those players that us viewers at home care most about. In another shot, we see 3 players advancing slowly and quietly behind the female doll, which is certainly a sensible way to move in a dark room. But this might also mean that the game has become even more fatal because, as well as movement, either one or both dolls now also scan for any sounds the players make during the red light, for example even a squeak from their sneakers. A fan theory I've seen floating around is that this scene is actually a flashback to the frontman's original game, the time when he was a real player who eventually won before going on to become the master organizer of the games. I think this is less likely because this mid-credits version of Red Light Green Light seems more difficult and deadly, so it's illogical for it to have been made easier since the frontman was a real player. On top of that, it looks like this player, number 100, has got the same hair as the obnoxious player from Season 2 who's billions in debt and is one of the main ones who eggs people on to continue playing the games. There will of course be even more new games in Season 3, and there are some hidden clues on the dormitory walls suggesting a gruesome human chess or checkers game. I reveal more about that and other new games, plus some horrifying secrets about the recruiter in my next Squid Game video. Tap here to watch it right now. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, thanks for watching Squid Game with me, and I'll see you next time.